Welcome everyone to another live stream with me, Professor Heather Austin. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. We are going to talk about reinventing your career, specifically how to write a career-changing resume. So if you can hear me, audio is coming through and you can see me, go ahead and give this video a big, huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you're notified when I do live streams just like this, and say hello in the chat. I know a lot of you are already here. Say hello. Let us know where you're joining from. I'm so excited to say hi to you. We also have Tori in the chat moderating. She is my beautiful assistant. She is the one on the other end of this live stream. She's going to be taking your questions, getting them in front of me so that we can answer them during this live session. So you guys, we have some amazing stuff planned for you today. Not only are we going to be talking about how to reinvent your career during this time that we're living in, we're going to be reviewing resumes live. Now, we had hundreds of resumes submitted, like we always do for this live resume review show. Thank you so much for submitting your resume. If you're one of the individuals that submitted your resume, we sifted through as many as we could. We pulled some so that we could review them with you guys so that they would help you with your resume. And let me tell you, after these resume review shows, job seekers land jobs. So you definitely want to stick around all the way until the end because we have some fantastic tips to share with you. And I have a special offer for you at the end. So make sure you stick around for that. Let's see who is in the chat here. Again, make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you can hear me. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and also make sure you say hello in the chat. So let me jump in to see who was here super early. We had a bunch of you jump in early. Joan is here from Providence, Rhode Island. Hello, Joan. Charlene, so happy that you could make it. TD Brown is here. Juan is here from Mexico City. Looking forward to getting hired and moving back to the US. Fantastic, Juan. Donna, so happy you could make it. Let's see. I'm not gonna pronounce this right, but Lashres is here from Texas. EJ, so happy you're here. Jacqueline, happy to see you. So many amazing people in the chat. Lisa, Brandon, oh, I could say hi to you guys all day long. Dustin, I'm so happy that you're here. You guys, thanks for saying hi. As you're continuing to jump in and listen to this, make sure you chime into the chat. I ask you guys a lot of questions during these live streams, so be ready to type into the chat because we are going to get off and running really quickly. Also, by the way, if you guys know anyone that is in this situation where they're trying to write an impactful resume just to land a job or even to change careers, make sure you share this video. So there's a little button at the bottom below the video. Share this out to anyone that you think might be interested in this topic. So I have some slides to share with you, a couple slides, but then I also really want to spend most of our time on these resume reviews because I know we're always cut short and I'm always trying to get in as much as I can. So I'm going to share some slides with you. Before we jump into the actual content, I have two quick announcements to make with you. We are actually hosting, we do this live masterclass twice a year. So we do it once in the spring and once in the fall. We are hosting a live masterclass. There's actually two dates that you can attend during the first week of October. So if you want to sign up for our, it's a free live masterclass, the 5-step system to write a resume that lands you more interviews and better job offers. Tori's going to pop the link for you in the chat. I'm going to also pop the link in, Tori, and then I'm going to also share, or I'm going to pin the comment. Hopefully that will let me pin the comment here. So if you guys are interested in attending this live class, make sure you get your seat saved for it. Sometimes we go 2 hours during this live class. So you're going to definitely want to make sure you get your seat saved for this because it is like the most actionable resume writing tips you will find on planet Earth right now. So make sure you save your spot for that. Tori has the link in to the chat. Also, there is the link below in the comments, in the description below this video. Let me share with you guys really quickly the dates that you can attend this free masterclass. So we're actually going to do two options. We get thousands of people that attend this masterclass every time we host it. So I decided to throw in an evening session because I know a lot of you guys are on different areas in the planet, and I want to make sure that we get this masterclass to as many people as we can. So Wednesday, October 6th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and then again Thursday, October 7th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you go to that link and save your seat for this masterclass. Now, another thing that we have happening today, and I will tell you more about this as we go, we have a flash sale running on our toolkit. Now, I think we've only done this flash sale once, maybe twice this year. We don't know when we're going to host it again. It might not be until 2022 that we do a flash sale on the toolkit. So stick around so you can learn more about the flash sale, what's inside the toolkit, and all that good juicy stuff. Okay. Reinventing your career, how to write an impactful career change resume. Now, this is a topic that has been coming up so frequently over the last couple of weeks, especially in our free professional group on Facebook. A lot of you guys are struggling with, hey, I really want to potentially switch careers right now, or maybe even switch jobs. And we're going to talk about the difference in just a minute. Now, before we get into that good, juicy topic, if you guys have not met me before, again, my name is Heather Austin. On this channel, I teach professionals how to find their dream job so that they can grow in a field they love. So we are dedicated to resume writing, LinkedIn profiles, interview strategies, job search strategies. We share all that good stuff here on this channel. In fact, we actually had a shout out from the CEO of YouTube recently, a couple weeks back, for the work that we are doing on the channel and for the hundreds of thousands of job seekers that we are reaching. So this is a post that she made on Twitter a few weeks ago, just recognizing the work that we're doing here. So again, we are striving to help you as the job seeker or career changer or whatever it is that you are, find and land that dream job so that you can grow and work in a field that you love. Now, let me ask you this question. Are you making a job or a career change? Type either yes, no, or maybe in the chat. So if you are thinking about making a job or a career change, type maybe. If you're making a job or a career change and you're currently in the process of it, type yes. Maybe you're not thinking about it, type no. So yes, maybe, or yes, no, or maybe if you are thinking about making a job change. Now, let me tell you guys kind of some things that are possible right now. These are messages that we get from our community every day. So either through email or through our Facebook groups that we host. These are just messages from people that have actually made that job switch or that career transition. So here's Alex. Alex said, I left retail customer service in March to start my career in accounting. Okay, so huge difference. Teresa says, I quit my job March 11th and started my current job March 22nd, also switching industry and role. She said her current position has allowed her to work 100% remotely, of course, which she's grateful for. Jennifer says, I started a new role last week as talent acquisition consultant. Again, another career switch here. Roldan said, he said, finally had the courage to stop applying for retail or administrative assistant position. Now I'm proudly a human resource specialist. Tracy says, my employer forced us to go back to the office, and type yes if you are in this same situation. Tracy said, my employer forced us to go back to the office, been looking for something 100% remote. She goes on to say that she's expecting one offer this week, possibly 3. 2 out of the 3 are different than her current role. So again, another big, huge career change. Let me introduce you guys to Devin really quickly. So Devin said, I quit April 23rd. I was making the most money I ever had and leading a great team, and realized I still was not satisfied. Here's a message that he actually sent to me through Facebook Messenger after he posted that. He said, I also want to thank you for even getting to the point to quitting. Okay, so I know that's a big, huge challenge for a lot of us, is that you have that on the horizon, but do you really take that next step? Okay. So he says, I want to thank you for even getting to the point to quitting. I used techniques you taught regarding resumes that led me to this position. I'm great at interviewing. He said, but your resume definitely opened the door for them to reach out to me. He said, it was $30,000 more than my previous position. So you guys, these career changes and job changes are happening all over the place. Okay, let's see. I see a lot of yeses in terms of you guys wanting to switch careers. Tammy says maybe. Stephanie says maybe. Tiffany says maybe. Jung Hung says yes. Gio says yes. Steven says hello from Ukraine. Hello, Steven. Jennifer says yes. Nintendo 71 says yes. Kim says yes. A lot of yeses and a few maybes in there. Yes, terrific. So you guys, this is actually happening right now at this time. People are switching jobs or switching careers. Now, what I want to cover before we jump into the actual steps that is going to involve you changing up your resume is what is happening in the current market right now. So what is the current market situation? What does it look like? So you guys have noticed over the past couple months, there's been a huge shift in the job market. If you saw my live stream, it's probably been 3 or 4 weeks ago now. We talked a lot about the Great Resignation. So in April of this year, over 4 million professionals quit their job. This wasn't people that were laid off. These were people that actually quit their job. This was the highest 1 month quit rate in over 20 years. Okay. And last month, if you guys pay attention to the jobs report, which probably you don't because it's not very interesting. I mean, for someone like me, it is because this is my career, but the jobs report for August was a little bit disappointing to the economy. So what's happening right now is we've got the illness spreading. We've got people not wanting to go back into the office for work, as you guys saw from some of the examples that I shared with you. We've got a lot of changes happening. Now, here's the thing. We are still experiencing a pretty robust recovery. So things are still moving in the right direction. However, a lot of us are reevaluating like our priorities, what it is we want to do, where we want to spend our time, so on and so forth. So let me show you kind of where the job growth is currently right now. So we're seeing a lot of jobs in infotech, a lot of jobs in architectural, engineering, manufacturing, warehousing. There's a lot of increases in these areas. So if you are thinking about making a career change, this is a good direction to go in, okay? Now, I can't say what things are going to look like in a year or 2 years from now, but this is what's happening right now based on the August jobs report, based on kind of the direction of maybe where we're going over the next year. Now, here is a list of positions industries where we are seeing a decline in employment. So the retail, the restaurant, and the entertainment industries, okay? Now, a lot of this, again, you guys, is due in part to the illness, of course. And a lot of it is due in part to childcare. Being a mom of 4, like, thank goodness my kids are at school, right? But a lot of parents don't have that luxury. A lot of parents have kids at home. A lot of parents are trying to find childcare, so they can't go out to work in the industry. So again, that's kind of what we're seeing. Now, I want to, before we jump into the steps, I want to a resume, a career change resume, I want to share with you the difference between a career change and a job change. So these are two totally different things. When we look at a career change or a career switch, you're looking at going from one industry to a totally different industry, or maybe even an industry that's sort of similar, okay? But it's basically switching careers totally. When you're looking at a job change, you're looking at potentially changing jobs, but doing the same sort of work, okay? So maybe I'm a public school teacher and I want to go and now be a private school teacher, okay? So a lot of those same skills are going to apply. With a career switch, it's a little bit harder to make the transition only because you don't have the foundational skills that a lot of your competition will have. And that's now switching totally different industries, different companies, so on and so forth. So that's the big, huge difference there. Now let me kind of see what you guys are saying in the chat. Gina says, this is what I am praying for, a raise in pay and working remotely. Yes. And Gina touches on a really good point here, you guys, is that's what's happening in the job market. Workers want to get paid more and they want more flexibility. Okay. They want to be able to be at home, whether 100% remote or a hybrid work schedule. So a lot of things are changing. And I do think industries are picking up on that. And there are a lot of companies that are adapting with that change, but then there's a lot of companies that aren't. So you have to really keep your eye on who's hiring and what positions that you can fit into. Now, let's talk really quickly about the resume. Okay, so I'm going to actually share with you, I think I have 5 steps to share with you. So I don't have like detailed slides for you guys, but I have basically, you'll get the gist of the point, and then we're going to jump into resume reviews. So one of the things you have to do if you are making a career change resume, the very first thing is you have to emphasize your transferable skills, okay? So you guys have heard me say what your transferable skills are, right? These are skills that you've used in one position and now you can take them over to another position. Now, let me break this down just a little bit for you. There are 3 areas of transferable skills that you need to focus on, okay? You're going to be focusing on professional, you're going to be focusing on academic, and you're going to be focusing on technical. Those are the 3 main areas of transferable skills that you want to really hone in on, okay? The other thing you have to keep in mind is within those categories, and by the way, I don't have a slide for this, within those categories, you're gonna have your hard and your soft skills, okay? I do have a slide for this in just a second, but when it comes to your hard skills, the larger that gap is, or the more drastic that career change is, the harder it's going to be for you to bring those transferable hard skills over, okay? However, soft skills are a lot easier to transfer if that gap gets a little bit bigger. Now, let me show you a quick slide here so that you can kind of see what I mean by hard and soft skills. You guys have probably seen this before if you've been to a resume training of mine, but you have your hard and your soft skills, okay? Your hard skills, again, are the things that you've learned through experience, through education. They're a lot easier to quantify, okay? I have a lot of examples here on the slide here. Your soft skills are like your personality traits, your behaviors, character traits, that kind of stuff. Those are a lot easier to transfer. However, they're a lot harder, if sometimes impossible, to quantify. Now, employers love the hard skills because you can quantify them. So the challenge for you is going to be, what skills do I want to bring over or emphasize or draw attention to so that my new employer, whether that's a total career change or a job change, so that my new employer will see that I'm capable and I can perform this job well. Now, let me show you a quick example. This is just a random example let's just say I'm a pediatric nurse and I want to go into a nursing educator position, okay? Now, this is totally random, but I wanted to show you kind of how you would break this down. So this is based on a recent client of mine. So you have your transferable hard skill. So here's a transferable hard skill, taking vital signs so that you can teach it to your students. That's simple. That's like, I know that I can quantify that. I know that I can transfer that hard skill. Here's some transferable soft skills: being able to explain things well, adapting quickly to new circumstances, and making good judgment calls, okay? You'll notice that soft skills are a lot easier to pull out of that than your hard skills. So keep that in mind as you are going through your own experience. And again, if you guys think back to what I said in terms of the 3 areas, you've got professional, you've got academic, and you've got technical. So you need to evaluate all 3 of those areas before you actually go through and make that evaluation. Now, let me go in, and I have another slide to share with you before my next question. These are just popular transferable skills. So I wanted to throw this out there. You could even do a quick Google search on common transferable skills or whatever you want. These are just like popular ones that I use with my clients and my students as we are reworking their resume, reworking their career stories, so that when they go into an interview, they know how to talk about it. So you've got critical thinking, leadership, adaptability, teamwork, written communication, verbal, numeracy, research, and analytical, and creativity. These are just a handful. Like, I could have listed 20 more skills on this page. Like self-motivation is a big one. Decision-making is a big one. Active listening. So if you can try and use some of these examples and now start turning those into bullet points or statements on your resume, that's when you can really be effective with that career change resume. Now I want to see kind of some of the comments in the chat. Well, actually, before I do that, I want to know from you in the chat, what transferable skill can you add to your resume? So based on the information that I shared with you, what transferable skill can you add to your resume? Let's see. Someone says, my problem is that my resume shows I worked in collections the last 15 years and I am an engineer and want to work like process improvement engineer, but I don't have recent experience. They go on to say it kills me. Yes, that is one that you really have to evaluate. Again, think about those 3 areas of skills that you want to look at, and then how can you break down your hard and your soft skills and start bringing them to the surface and focusing on those. Okay, I have a couple more tips to share with you that will hopefully clear the water. So again, what transferable skills can you add to your resume? By the way, you guys, if anyone's just joining us, let me pop this slide up one more time. We do have a free live resume masterclass. This is a masterclass we only do twice a year. So if you guys are finding value from this session, this is one that we only do a couple times a year. This one is amazing. It's super valuable. Go to heatheraustin.online/live class to save your spot. And then in just a minute here, I have a special offer to share with you for the toolkit. If you do not have the toolkit yet. Okay, let's jump into step number 2. Okay, so this is write a powerful resume summary. So here's the thing when it comes to your resume summary, you probably have one already on your resume, right? But you need to revise it. If you are changing jobs, or if you are switching careers, you need to change that summary, and it has to be tailored to the new position, okay? Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to explain to the employer exactly what you can do for them, okay? And even if you have never done that exact job before, you're going to still talk about how you can perform that job. You're not saying, oh, I have 20 years of experience doing X, Y, and Z. You're now looking to the future and you're saying, this is what I can do for you, okay? Now, if you are making that career change summary, you want to talk about your background. You want to focus on the trajectory of where you're going, okay, and why you want to get there. Now, here's a mistake I see job seekers make is that they focus too much on, well, I don't have this experience, but I do have this experience. We're not even talking about the experience or the skills that you don't have. We are not mentioning that. We are giving them a broad overview of our trajectory and what we can do for them. Okay, so don't put in your summary, I have 10 years of experience in this section and whatever in another section if it does not relate to the job. We're not going to do that. Okay, so we're not talking about the fact that you are not highly experienced, and instead you're telling them why the experience you have makes you the perfect candidate. Okay, so keep that in mind. Here's a quick example of a summary. You guys have seen this before. Now, this is just the top half of the summary that I teach to my clients and my students, and that I show you how to do in the toolkit. We're giving the title, we're giving 3 key skills, and we're also giving a paragraph of information, okay? That's basically the title. Now, what I want you to do with that title is I want you to list the actual title of the position you want, okay? This does not have to be, oh, I was in this job forever, so I'm going to put that title at the top. No, we want the title of the position that you want, that you're going into. And we want 3 key skills that you can bring over that you have that relate to that job. Even if it is soft skills. Okay, remember you have the hard and the soft. Soft's going to be a lot easier to bring over. But again, that's how you want to structure that summary. Now, I want to know in the chat, what is your ideal job title or headline? Now, regardless if you have a resume or not right now, or you're reworking your resume, what is your ideal job title or headline? So on your summary, what would your headline be? I want you to pop that in there. And that could be like your dream job title, okay? Pop that into the chat. And while you guys are popping that in, let's jump into step number 3 or tip number 3, and that is to revise your work experience. So one of the things that I see a lot, and I tell most of my clients and students as we're tailoring resumes, I don't normally have you go through and revise your work experience because it takes a lot of time. However, if you are a career changer, you have to revise your work experience, okay? You cannot skip this step. You do not want to leave your work experience the same as your old resume, okay? Now, even though you're like changing jobs and maybe you don't have that past experience, that's okay because you can still change parts and you can still highlight how you present them, okay? So contrary to what you might think, you also don't need to go into detail. Now, this is a mistake that I see a lot of career changers make is they go into all this detail about a specific skill, but it's like the wrong skill. It's like a skill that the employer is not even interested in. So what you do when you put too much detail in there is that you risk selling the wrong skill. Okay. So again, we're going to revise this and we're only going to focus your highlights on how can you show them that you have a little bit of what they need, but you're not going into a huge amount of detail. Now, this is different than what I teach you guys if you are not changing careers. Okay. Let me see where you guys are in terms of titles. Research engineer. I love that, Brandon. Clive says navigator of possibilities. That's awesome. Gio says vice president of content. Yes, I see data scientist, human resources executive, medical coder, VIP. Yes, that'd be awesome. VP of engineering, communications manager, web designer. Oh, so many fantastic titles. You guys have done your research, I think. It sounds like from what you've put here, you have done your research. So fantastic. Okay, let's jump into tip number 4, and that is to gain more resume content. Now, there's going to come a time where you're just like, I don't have this certification, or I don't have this degree, or I don't have this qualification that they're looking for. You need to figure out a way to get that qualification, or at least to be able to put it on your resume to show that you are working toward that. Okay. So again, that comes in the form of learning a new skill. So this could be, again, like I said, a certification, some sort of degree. You also want to look at gaining more experience, okay? So you can find new ways to take on new or different responsibilities, right? Now, you might even be wanting to do this in your current job. Like, let's say you have a 6-month plan in your current job and you kind of want to be switching careers or switching industries in 6 months. What can you take on right now that you can start doing that you know you could add like 1 or 2 bullet points to your resume, okay? Or that you can come up with 1 or 2 career stories to share in an interview that show that you have that skill, okay? The other thing I want you guys to think about here is potential volunteer work, okay? So there's a lot of times where there's opportunities that you can go and volunteer for an organization or a company learning that new skill. And this is especially true for recent graduates or someone just like coming out into the workforce, any young adults just coming out into the workforce, okay? Now, the next thing I want to share with you before we get to live resume reviews is I want you to consider a hybrid approach, okay? Now, there is a lot of speculation and controversy around this topic. So I will tread lightly when I say this. When I work with my clients and my students, we do a reverse chronological resume. It's the most popular form of resume. That's the one I would highly recommend you doing. However, there are certain situations, like in a career change resume, that you may not a reverse chronological resume may not work for you, okay? So in that case, I want you to consider a hybrid resume. Now, this is not the functional resume. It's a hybrid model. So instead, what I want you to do is I want you to lead with your skills, okay? So in this case, you're going to put kind of like those most popular skills and that most popular information that hiring professional wants to see at the top. Now, I still want you to keep your summary. We're not going to switch out the summary, but you could potentially put right under that summary some sort of skills section that emphasizes those transferable skills, and then go through and lead and then follow with your experience section. Now, the examples that I share with you guys today, I'll show you kind of how to approach that with some of these resumes. Another thing I want you to consider with the hybrid approach is in your work experience, what you can do is categorize it a little bit, okay? So rather than having like reverse chronological, which again, that's the one I always recommend in case you're in a certain situation like this, you can start categorizing that experience. So let's say now you start breaking it down into marketing experience. Then you have another section. And again, this is all under work experience. Then you have another section that's like sales and training. Then you have another section that's like leadership. Then maybe you have another section that's like management. Okay. These sections are anything you decide you want to have them be, but it has to relate to the job and it has to emphasize those skills that you have that will make you an ideal fit for the position, because again, you don't have that experience and that knowledge if you are making that career change, okay? Now, I want to know in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway so far? Okay, so let me know in the chat. I've shared with you 5 tips. We still have resumes to review, so I'm going to pop those in. By the way, thank you to everyone who actually submitted their resume. We get so many resumes, and I love getting to know you guys through your resume from people through all walks of life. It's actually pretty amazing, and we have the hardest time narrowing down. I could look at these resumes all day long, but I know I always have to like stick to some of them and just pull them out on our live stream today. And we do our very best to get the ones that will help you guys. Now we do these a couple times a year. So again, this isn't the last chance for you to get your resume reviewed, but I will pull those up. So let me know in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway so far? And as you guys are typing that in, you're probably joining me today because, and this is what I heard from a lot of you guys, you're switching jobs or changing careers and you're just not sure what steps to take. You know that you want more purpose and passion in your field, especially with the last year and a half, that everything that's been going on, but you're worried that your competition will blow you out of the water because they have the experience. Maybe you were laid off because of the illness, and you're having a hard time securing that next job, or maybe you've even had interviews. This is what I've heard a lot from you guys. You've had interviews, but you're just unable to close the deal. So let me know if that sounds like you. Now, as you guys are typing that in, I want to invite you to join me inside of the Career Advancement Toolkit. I told you that we were holding a special flash sale for the toolkit. In fact, I'll pop the link to it in the chat. Tori also will have the link in the chat as well. Now, if you have not yet heard of the Career Advancement Toolkit, it's an exclusive suite of resources, video lessons, templates, guides, instructions, examples to help you secure your next job. Now, let me share with you guys what's possible. So again, these are clients and students that I work with. This is what's possible right now. So Darcy received 2 job offers after being out of work for over a year. So she says, "Thank you, Professor Heather Austin and team. I just received 2 job offers after using your process to update my job search." Ed had actually given up on his job search right before he received a job offer from a great company. So he says, "Yesterday I received an offer from a great company that I accepted this morning." He goes on to say, "The moral of the story is that when you least expect something happens." He said, "Or maybe it's to take a mental health day and trust the work you've put in." And by the way, I think we all need those mental health days, especially right now. Charlotte from the UK landed a full-time permanent job within a few months. She said, "Heather's content is amazing, and through following her tuition combined with volunteering and upskilling." So again, you guys, this goes to show that you can make these career changes. She said, "I managed to get a full-time permanent job I love within a few months. Heather's coaching was a complete game changer for me." Here's what Renia said. Renia landed a new job and is starting a new chapter of her career. She says, "I just had a meet and greet with my new team." I love getting these messages, by the way, from you guys. Now, let me share with you guys what's inside the toolkit. Dozens of done-for-you templates. So again, this is like your resume templates for certain situations. This is your cover letter templates, all sorts of good, juicy templates, bonus resume writing videos, my perfect cover letter how-to guide, my LinkedIn profile essential starter pack, and then my ultimate guide to surviving your job search. Now, we have a couple limited time bonuses that we've placed inside the toolkit for you. An expert's printable interview guide. So again, this is actually your step-by-step guide to developing standout responses to some of the trickiest interview questions. And then we also have included in that behavioral-based interview questions. So a special formula for helping you answer those with examples. Now, if you guys don't know what behavioral-based questions are, those are questions that they ask you that you need to provide a situation, or what I call a story. Okay, you need to provide a story to show them that you have that experience. We also added inside the toolkit a job interview confidence training. So this is a bonus workshop to go along with your expert's printable guide, where let me actually show you what's inside this, where you're going to learn how to manage your nerves during the interview. Nerves and anxiety, we all get it, especially right now. How to answer the top 5 most common interview questions, a simple method for answering your behavior-based questions. Again, I talked about those just a second ago. And then the best questions to ask your interviewer to show that you are the best fit for the job, okay? So we're coming at you with your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, and your interview, okay? So we're pulling it all together for you. Now, I do have a fast action bonus. And by the way, this is normally gone by the day, most of the time it's gone by the time we finish the live stream, but by the time the day's over, the first 20 people to grab the toolkit will receive a free cover letter workshop. There's 5 bonus videos in there to help you learn how to turn your cover letter into a mini sales presentation, okay? And this workshop is amazing. And again, you get all your templates for your cover letter as well. Now, the real value of all this stuff, so the templates, the trainings, the guides, the resources in the toolkit is worth more than $300. But you guys, you can grab it today for just $97, okay? So this is probably what most of you make in one day or in half of a day. Your investment is just $97 for the Career Advancement Toolkit. Now, I don't want you to miss out. If you start now, you'll save $100. The flash sale expires Friday, September 17th. So it's a 3-day flash sale. Normally we only do a 2-day, but we're extending it 1 day. So you guys can get in and grab the toolkit now before Friday. Again, go to professoraustin.com/live offer. I've also pinned the link for you at the top. Tori's also popped the link into the chat as well. And then you'll also see the link for it in the description down below. And I'll show you guys as we go through some of these examples. I'll show you a little bit more of the toolkit as well. Now I want to share a couple more stories with you. So here's Emma. She was actually laid off due to COVID. She switched careers and she landed a new job. She says, "Thank you, Heather, for all your amazing resources. I know they helped me communicate my career story, transferable skills, and experience more effectively." Let's see. Terry got a full-time job she loves with great pay and full benefits. And here's the best part. She's just 5 minutes from her home. Rita landed her dream job. She says, after months of interviews and denials, I finally landed my dream job. She says, super excited for this new opportunity. Let me share with you guys what happened with Abraham. So Abraham says, following your advice, landed my dream job today. He says, with my limited experience in the field, so again, you guys, this is possible. He said, I was able to prepare the most amazing CV and cover letter with your advice. So that's the goal. I'm not going to read his whole entire thing. That's the goal for my goal for you is to be able to develop your career stories, take your experience that you have, be able to communicate it, not just on your resume, your cover letter, or your LinkedIn profile, but also in your interview, okay? Tania actually, she popped in. She says, I'm finally employed again in an industry I love and know well. She says, after being put on temp leave and subsequently terminated in 2020 due to COVID. So here's what her results were after using the toolkit. She applied to a total of 9 positions. Let's say she interviewed with 6 of those. All led to a second interview, and then she received 3 job offers. So if that is not amazing results, I don't know what is. Again, you guys, your investment for this is $97. Remember, you only have a couple days to grab this offer. I have the link for you in the chat. Tori has the link for you in the chat as well. Let me share with you guys really quickly, David. So David actually became employed again in the biotech industry. He says, this past week, I landed a wonderful new position. COVID may have taken my last job, but it also provided me a new one. I am now working for a biotech company that is fighting to end the COVID pandemic. I can't thank you enough for all you have done to get me on the right track that has led me to this position. He said, I now make more than I thought was possible, all while doing something that helps others. So you guys, if these stories do not blow you away, and by the way, I have slides and slides of these testimonials, and I had to bring it down to just the few that I wanted to share with you. These are the results that people are getting in my community just from using the resources inside of the toolkit. So you don't need to go out and purchase big, huge, massive, expensive programs to actually see success, okay? These are real people with real results, and this is actually what happens. So I do want to jump into these resume reviews, but I also want to answer questions. So you guys, if you have questions, make sure you get those in. I will be showing, I'm going to be pulling up the resumes on my screen in just a second here. And let me just see if there's any questions. Awesome. George popped in, says unofficial plug for the toolkit. Thanks, George. I use Professor Austin's resume and cover letter, and I finally got an interview that I just hung up on. Yay! Good job, George. Thanks for sharing that. See, these are the types of stories I love to see. Let's see. Arnaldo says, my case is a challenge. I submitted it last Friday, and since I put first my manufacturing experience from 2001 to 2004, the guy asked me to send an updated one, but I cannot do it. Okay, so Arnaldo, that's a tongue twister for me. I'm going to recommend that you get in and use the templates inside the toolkit to help get you to that next level, okay? Because there's so many valuable resources in there. Plus, there's video lessons to actually show you how to do that. Now, let's jump in, you guys, to resume reviews. And I want to know really quickly, too, you guys did share a lot of your key takeaways at the beginning. As we're going through these resume reviews, I want you to think about what you're learning from them and how you can apply them to your own resume, because there's a lot to dive into. Now, normally when I do a resume review, I will normally take like 20 or 30 minutes per resume, sometimes even longer if it's a long resume. This is just a quick overview. But again, once I give people this advice, they go and make the changes and they actually go and land jobs. So, okay. Let me also preface this too really quickly. Sorry, before I get in. Every resume is so unique and so different. So what I want you guys to keep in mind as I'm sharing kind of like my 2 cents on this is keep in mind that one thing that I give to someone might not work for another person, only because you have to evaluate your current situation and the job you're applying for, okay? You kind of have to really think about where you're going, what it is you want to do, and how you want to present yourself in the best possible light. So when I look at these resumes, I really only have half the story. Now, you guys do amazing when you send them to me, telling me your situation and whatnot, but I also don't normally have the job description that you're going for, and I don't have a lot of key pieces. So I'm giving general tips on, hey, do this, or change this or whatever, but you also at the end of the day have to evaluate your own situation, okay? Okay, so let's talk about this person. I'm going to call resume number 1, University of Miami, okay? Because that's what you're leading with is your education. So here is, I actually don't mind the format. The format's nice in terms of I can see your titles. Clearly, I can see each section. So if I scroll down through this resume, I have education, work experience, interests, community, and affiliation. So that's nice and clear and easy to read, okay? The formatting and the font, that's not bad either. That's okay. Like it's easy to read. Now let's talk about margins are good, white space is good. Let's talk about kind of what I would do to improve this resume. Now for University of Miami, it looks like you are a recent college grad. So if you are a recent college grad, it's actually okay to lead with your education. The one thing I am missing here, though, is your summary. So I really want to see a nice summary at the top that tells me the position you're going for, a couple key skills that you have that relate to that position, and then I want to know a little bit more about you, okay? Now, you guys, the summary is not an objective statement. A lot of people get these two confused. They're like, I'm told that I wasn't supposed to put a summary. I love summaries. When I look at resumes and I look at candidates for positions, I want a summary. I want to read a little bit more about you really quickly before I look at all the details. Especially the way that I show you in the toolkit. Let me pop this example up really quickly. Nope, not that one. Sorry. Let me get a different example. In the toolkit, well, I'll pop up my slide. I show you how to do that with your headline, okay? So you can put a headline in with your key skills. That's what I'm missing from this resume right here. I'm not opposed to you starting with your education because I think that as a recent grad, you can do that. Or if you're actually going for an academic role of some sort in academia, it's okay to lead with your education. I do like that you give us relevant coursework. I think that's important. What I would recommend on your dates though is I don't think I need to know when you started. You could even just put your graduation date, which would be May 2021. Okay. You don't need to list the exact time that you started. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my new toolkit example for you guys. Now, work experience, I love that you have the titles clear. I can see that. What I would love to see you do instead is I want to see you format the date with digits. So again, this is to help with applicant tracking systems, okay? So if you guys... Sorry, I'm still trying to pull up I can show you guys this example because I have it here. I want to see your dates in digits. So like month, year, and then month, year. Okay. Rather than all written out. This definitely helps with your applicant tracking system. So again, that's what I want to see there on your resume. Now, you do have a lot of really good bullet points here. So let me just read this. Researched and drafted constituent correspondence on environmental protections. Okay, what I would love to see with these bullet points is I want to see you finish this out in terms of you're telling me what you did, but what was the result? Okay, so if you guys have ever heard me talk about this before, this is something that it's not easy to do. I mean, it's not hard to do, but it takes some thought. Okay, so if you're telling me that you researched and drafted constituent correspondence, what was the result of you doing that? And it was on environmental protections. Was that to create a bill that was passed in Congress? Was that to and what environmental protections? Like, give me a little bit more detail. Now, only you know that because you're the one that held that position. So you have to, get very specific with that. But that's what I want to see. I want to see some sort of result to go along with that. Sorry guys, let me get back to my resume there. Okay. And I think the rest is true with the rest of this. Now, what's going to happen, University of Miami, is once you put your summary at the top, that's going to pop everything down, which is okay because I wasn't a huge fan of this skills section right here. I didn't love the bar. I know this is getting more into like a graphical resume, and I don't love those unless you are like a graphic designer or user interface designer or some sort of designer and they're asking for that. I just want to see your skills like written out. I don't want to see like a bar that says, how good am I at this? And I know there's so many informational infographic resumes that do that. I don't want you to do that. I just want to see the skills. Now, again, let me close this one out. And let me pop this one. I just want to show you really quickly. This is the resume, one of the resumes inside of the toolkit. Now, for resume number 1, I don't think you need to put bullet points of your career highlights, okay? Because it seems like you're a new grad, you're entering the workforce, or you're trying to get more work experience under your belt. You probably can just do the summary and then lead with your education after that. But what I wanted to show you really quickly is just a nice section of like a technical skills. I kind of want to see something like that. I don't want those graphics, and I just want to see like more of your skills. Okay, now again, you guys keep in mind for any career changers that are in here that are listening and watching, you could put that skills section at the top. Or the other thing that you could do is this resume template actually could work just fine for a career changer, okay? So we've kind of created this to adapt for most professionals and in most situations, okay, where you have these highlights that you could talk about some of those transferable skills. You could list your core competency section again with some of those transferable skills, and then you lead with or you follow with experience. Okay, so there's so many ways you can slice and dice this, but you got to do it based on your own experience. Now, the only other thing I'm going to recommend to University of Miami here, I know we're kind of, I'm a talker, you guys, if you can already tell. I could go on for days and days about this stuff. One thing I want to do, I just want to emphasize, make sure you're giving us the results of what you're doing. So again, you have interests in community affiliation. You said cleaned up beaches in the Miami area. Like, what was the result of you cleaning them up? Did it did it bring in more visitors? Did it increase the visitor satisfaction? Did you get an award for the cleanest beach in Florida? Whatever. Okay. Like, I want you to think about what was the result of you doing that. And again, this applies to everyone. Okay. Now, you guys tell me in the chat if this is helping you, okay? Tell me in the chat if this is helping you. Just give me a big yes in the chat if this is helping you. I want to show you a quick visual. So I shared with you guys a couple different links today. Remember, we have our resume writing masterclass in a couple weeks. Make sure you save your spot for that. Tori has popped the link in. We also have the Career Advancement Toolkit flash sale. This is probably the second, maybe I don't even know if we've done this a third time this year. I can't remember. But again, let me pop this up really quickly so you can see it. All the amazing content that's inside of the toolkit. So you've got your professional resume template, you've got your cover letter template, you've got your application follow-up template, in-person interview follow-up template, follow-up template after a week, your job rejection follow-up template, phone interview, reference sheet, resignation letter, all that amazing stuff. You got your LinkedIn Profiles Essential Starter Pack, your cover letter how-to guide. You also have the ultimate guide to surviving your job search. And then, of course, don't forget about the interview confidence training and the Experts Printable interview guide. So it's like most everything you need to secure that job offer that you're looking for, even if you are changing careers, okay? So again, make sure you guys check that out. The first 20 people that grab the Career Advancement Toolkit will get a free cover letter workshop, okay? So the first 20 people through the door get an extra cover letter workshop with 5 bonus video lessons to show you how to turn your cover letter into a mini sales presentation, okay? Okay, so let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. I'm hoping to see, give me yeses. I see some yeses. Awesome. Good. Let me know if this is helpful for you. Brandon says indeed. Good. Jacqueline says yes. Charlene says yes. Stephen says yes. Kim says yes. Awesome. Good, good, good. Yes, Brandon asked if this will be on a replay. Yep. There will be a replay of this, so you guys can catch up on these when we get finished, or you can come back later today. Yes, Joan says, I help clients with their resumes all the time and like to stay current. I love that, Joan. Okay, good. Let's jump into the next resume, you guys. Okay, so this, if I remember right, let me just see if this is my gal. I think this is my gal that was having a hard time keeping to one page. So let's kind of talk a little bit about this. So what I like about this resume is I do like, let me make sure you guys can see this. I do like that, I'll zoom in just a little bit too. I do like that the sections are easy to read. I especially like that you have a title at the top with your 3 key skills, okay? Well, you have 4 key skills. I think that's fantastic. I do like that you have a core competency section. Professional experience section is super easy to find. Let me show you guys this example. What this individual's done is this is very similar to what I meant when I said when you're doing a career change resume, you can actually have titles, okay, inside your work experience. So you're trying to categorize things now. And in this case, this person's doing it because they have so much work experience from one position. But notice that we have leader and project management and communications, okay? So there's ways that you can break that experience down just by subheadings. So I actually like that because it kind of breaks down that experience. Now, here's what I'm going to advise for this resume here. I want to see things shorter. I don't want you to go any more than 2 pages unless you are doing some sort of academic resume or CV, okay? There are situations where you'll need that, but in this case, I want you to get to a 2-page. I also want to be able to see this senior manager communications title. I want that to stand out more than your 3 key skills here. So let me show you in this example because it kind of jumbles together. I know clearly that my eye should go right to vice president of sales, right? Then I know here's my subheading and I can now read that. Where in this example, they kind of blend together, even though one's bold and a different color, it's still a lot for me to read. I would actually increase the size of your main title, and then I would evaluate. I mean, I know in my example, I do have those bold, but notice that I have those capped, but notice that they are, it's smaller, okay? So I would really evaluate that. Maybe just create some sort of separation between the two so it doesn't jumble together. You actually don't even need the word summary here because it's a given that this is your summary, okay? So I would take that out. That's going to bring up your space a little bit. I would also, you guys, keep in mind, this was a big thing I noticed when I looked at this resume, is remember when you do a resume, you're never writing in first person. You're never going to say I, me, or my. Well, notice all these I's in here, okay? I worked, let's see, I am, my professional experience, I speak. We don't want to have those words in there. So remember, resume writing is a very distinct language. It's almost like another language. And you want to make sure that you're not using first person, okay? So what you have to do is go back and revise this. Now, you have a lot of fantastic statements in here, like more than 2 decades of experience and demonstrated results across 3 industries. And then you give us the industries. Let's see, strategic advisor, thought partner to senior level leaders, providing fact-based decision making. Now, this is good, but I also want to see, like when you say more than 2 decades of demonstrated results, what is that demonstrated results? Okay, can we get a little bit more of that results in there? So I would say on this one, take out the first person and give us a little bit more results. Now, I know you have this nice highlight section, which I actually like. I don't think that's, again, reread your sentences to make sure you're telling us like what you're doing, how you got there, what the results were. I don't know. Okay, and I'm going to say this for this resume. I don't know if you need a core competency section. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you have a breadth of experience already. Now, this is to bring your resume into 2 pages. Because if I have to eliminate something, I would eliminate core competencies in this case. Okay, keep in mind, you guys, this is different for every person in their situation and the position they're going for. But I would eliminate the core competency section. And instead, I would look at, how is your experience? Do you have these competencies in your experience? Do you have these exact words in your experience? Core competencies is great. However, when you have a massive work experience section like this, you don't need that core competencies because hopefully it's all in there already, okay? So that's going to take up a little bit of space or take out a little bit of space on your first page. Now let's look at the second page. Okay, what I would do here on your second, okay, so this is part of the same position. So again, there's a lot to digest here. What I would do is I would think about what can I take away? Like, okay, let me just throw this out here, for example. And this may or may not be your case. On logistics manager, is that like I'm assuming that was like a position that you held within within Kaiser Permanente. I would think about like these other positions. When were they? Like, were these from a long time ago? And can I maybe just list the actual title and the dates that I was employed? So let me give you an example of this on the Toolkit template. Notice I have, and I'll zoom in here. I have company ABC, senior account manager, January 2000 to 2006. Okay. So that's a perfect example of, I don't want to list things from like 10 to 15 years ago, because when you're going to apply for a position, the employer is looking at what you're doing right now. They want to know what are you up to now? They don't want to know what you did 20 years ago, as awesome as it probably was, or even 15 years ago. You want to keep it as recent as possible. So again, in this case, you would want to evaluate some of those positions, especially to save some space, so that you can get that onto 2 pages. Okay. And I do see, so again, we're looking at positions that are a little bit further back. So be really careful with this. I do actually like if you list them, because it is some big name companies like Ernst & Young and Walt Disney. Those are great, but can we condense it a little bit, okay? So that we're now focused more on your most recent experience rather than what you did in 1994. Keep in mind, you guys, too, what's going to happen is ageism is going to set in. We don't want to be sharing, and let me go back to the top part of this really quickly here. Where you say, I bring more than 2 decades of experience. We want to be really careful with that. If you are sending this to a networking contact or someone that is looking for someone else with 2 decades of experience, you're okay mentioning that. But in general, you got to be careful with them saying, well, wait a second, how old is this person? Can we even afford this person? Is this person even teachable? And are they going to follow direction well? Because that's, again, what employers look for when they're hiring more seasoned workers. Or that's what they think about. So be really careful with those kinds of statements. And that's, again, why we don't want to elaborate on those things that we've done all those years ago. Okay. But having the title and the name of the company, I think that's okay. And I would love to see this up on that 2nd page. So we're not going to a 3rd page. Get this up here on the 2nd page. Education's fine. I like how you have it because you don't have the dates listed. I think that's fine. Other accomplishments in community service. I love that. Won a National Poetry Award. I would love to know more, and this goes for anyone who has this type of stuff on their resume. I would love to know more about that. Like, was it out of 1,000 poets? Was it 1 out of 2 awards that were given after evaluating 5,000 poets? Like, give me a little bit more about that. Like, what did that, give me more specifics about that National Poetry Award, okay? So really think about that. I do like you have hiked 17,000 elevation. That's pretty cool in Peru. Awesome. Now that's, again, more of like a hobby or just an interesting fact. You could probably even take that out and put that on your LinkedIn profile. Speak the languages that you speak fluently. That's definitely something you want to include. That might even be something you include in your summary. I can't remember if you put that up there or not. I think I saw something about, yeah, you did. I speak 5 languages. Yep. But again, get rid of the I's and the my's, okay? But other than that, look, you have some amazing experience, such a valued professional. A few little tweaks here and there, I think, can make this resume strong. I do think also for you, putting it in the format of the toolkit, I think would be really, really, really helpful. Again, in the toolkit, you have the example plus the templates that you can use. So you basically are just typing your own information in. Because I like this. This is a little bit more streamlined. Now, I do have core competencies on this example, but it totally depends on your experience, okay? Like for you, resume number 2, you don't need that. Like you want all that in the resume. Okay, I'm going to jump to, because I saw you here in the chat, I want to jump really quickly to resume number 4. And then I might need to call it good for resume after this resume. And by the way, you guys, let me know so far, what have you learned from these reviews, from me taking a look at these couple resumes that I have? What have you learned that you could apply to your own resume? Pop that into the chat. One thing you have learned that you could apply to your own resume. Now, I gotta bring this up. So this resume came in, and I wanted to pull it up because this is, a lot of you guys probably have the free resume template that we offer, okay? And this is an example of it. I wanted to show you guys this example. It's not totally finished, so you'll notice in this resume, this individual has, they've given us a title, that's fine, but they haven't popped in their key skills yet. So notice I'm telling you, I direct you in these templates, exactly what to do. But key skills haven't been written in yet. And there's a few other different things that are not formatted on this template. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring this to this individual's attention. Is there's some really good content here. We just need to finish it. Okay. We just need to get the template finished and finish exploring who you are and what you have to offer. So let me go through a couple formatting things really quickly. I want to see your name come way up at the top. Right now it's pushed pretty far down. So if I zoom out, there's a lot of white space on the sides and at the top. Let's change the margins to bring your name up just a little bit. Okay. Now you've kept to the 2-page, which is fine. I don't know in your situation if you need a 2-page. I would have to look at your job posting and see, are they really looking for a 2-page? Because you could technically probably get away with a 1-page, but I do like that you're getting in that, you're moving in that direction. So dynamic, adaptable, and clever customer service professional with 2 decades of experience resolving conflicts. Okay, again, you guys, this goes with that decades, listing. I have 2 decades, I have 1 decade, I have 20 years. I get that we're trying to transition probably from listing the 20 years. But you could even say, in fact, I saw a question come through from, let's see, someone mentioned, okay, Stephen said, is there a technique present to combat ageism? What about including graduation dates? So this is kind of me giving you guys some information on that. You don't have to have the 2 decades or 20 years. You could just say extensive experience resolving conflict and building bridges to alleviate distressed customer relationships. I would do that, and I think that sentence is great. But I would change the 2 decades. Expert negotiator who leverages compassion and diplomacy to achieve amicable resolutions. Okay, here's what I like that sentence, but it almost is a repetition of the first sentence. So what I want to see you do is I want to see something new added here, okay? Like a new skill that you're talking about, or a new accomplishment, or some noteworthy thing. Because you're talking about, and again, this resume is a project manager position. So you got to bring in a lot of that project manager stuff. Okay, bring that into this summary because right now you're talking a lot about you alleviating distressed customers, negotiation skills, amicable resolutions. I get that project managers do some of that, but there's so much more to a project manager. So I would put that in. I would find that job posting, look at what they're telling you to do, or that they want out of the position, and then bring that into that summary, if that makes sense. And again, you talk about it here, relationship building and project management. When you're talking about project management, just go a little bit more in depth, okay? The other thing I want to see you do is let's put an underline under project manager. So in the example here, notice I have the title or the headline and then an underline, and then I have the 3 key skills just to separate them, okay? Dates, let's get your dates in numerical format. So again, in the example here, we're going to do the numerics, okay? Rather than listing out January 2001 to whatever, okay? Customer care manager, I think that's great. Again, in your situation, and this is again, you guys on the template, explain in 1 to 2 sentences the position at a glance. You may or may not have that, okay, depending on your experience. In the template example, I do have that on here, okay? I do list some sort of paragraph that explains the position or the company or the industry. Like if someone's confused about, well, what kind of industry is that? Like that section is a really good place to list that information. But you may or may not need that. In fact, I would almost say you might not need that, especially if you're going to try and get to a 1-page resume. Rebuilt relationships with disengendered timeshare customers that raised the company's. Okay, good. See, this is good where I'm going to put my glasses on, you guys. This is where you now you're giving us telling us what you did, and then you're saying that raised the company's Better Business Bureau grade from a D to an A within 6 months. That's the perfect example, you guys, of tell us what you did and then give us an example. Okay, I love that. Developed and coached 10 incoming customer care managers to resolve a backlog of over 800 customer recovery cases. That's good. If there's anything else you can add to that, I would say add it. I think your statements are on point, and you are giving us a lot of good action results. If there's any way you can do more quantifiable, that's amazing. That would be even better. Make sure if you do that second page, get your headline at the top. I want to see your name with your contact information. Okay. You're missing that there. Education looks fantastic. You don't need to include the degree. Someone had mentioned that. You don't need to include the degree on your Bell State University. You can take that out, okay? Because again, that's going to date you. If you have professional experiences, of course, put those in there. And then, of course, if you have volunteer. But you know what? You might be able to condense this to 1 page, especially if you fix the margins, and then decide if you really even want to have your professional. Well, I do I actually would recommend for you to add technical skills, okay? I want to see some of your technical skills, like softwares, Zoom, how to, whatever you can do on the computer, I want to know that from you. So for you, I would highly recommend adding that section. Awesome, you guys. Okay, couple last minute reminders. Remember, we are holding our live resume writing masterclass. So if you guys have not yet saved your seat for that, heatheraustin.online/live class. That link is in the chat as well as in the description down below. This is a masterclass. We only do this twice a year. It's so jam-packed. Sometimes we go 2 hours because we're talking that much about resumes, okay? I also have my fantastic career coach / certified professional resume writer team member. She's going to be joining us during this live masterclass. Catherine, she's never joined us for a masterclass before, but she will be attending this one with us. So you're going to get double duty the information on how to write a knockout resume. The other thing I want you guys to remember is our flash sale for the Career Advancement Toolkit. So if you guys have not yet purchased the toolkit, again, we have packaged so many amazing resources into the toolkit for you. That one's professораustin.com/live offer. This toolkit was created based on when I was meeting with professionals. I was helping, this was back in the day when I was helping friends and family members land their job. I was like, you know what if they don't want to sit down and coach with me for 2 or 3 or 4 hours? What if they just want the tools quickly? They want to get in, do their resume, create all the good stuff and get it sent out. It's the quick start. You'll you'll get in terms of just getting off and running. Now, some of you want to meet with me and coach with me, and I love that, and I want you to do that. And again, those are like my academy students and my one-on-one coaching clients, and I do that every week with them. But some of you are just like, you know what? Just give me the tools and the resources that I need to get this done. I don't want to go out and search the internet for hours trying to piece all this stuff together. I just need a quick resource that I can access. And by the way, you guys, this is lifetime access. So whenever we update the templates, you actually get access to that. Whenever we update the video lessons, you get access to that. So again, professораustin.com/live offer. I am going to spend just a couple seconds answering questions that were popped in. So let me put my screen on. Let me just kind of see where we are. So Diana, and stick around if you guys want the answers to some of these questions. It looks like we had some fantastic questions come through. I'm going to just answer a couple of them. Diana says, do you have an example of a hybrid approach? So we don't actually have, well, you know what? We might actually have a career change resume in the toolkit. When I showed you the toolkit example, that's sort of like, you could use your summary. You could list your skills or your highlights at the top. And then again, the only other thing I would mention to do there is in your work experience, categorize everything, okay? So you could use the template and kind of approach it that way. Let's see. Okay, someone says, what if I want to switch a career and apply for a company who has no vaccines at the moment? Should I take a look at the same job offer from another company to tailor my resume? So that's kind of a personal question that you do need to decide on how you approach that. Okay. I always say, you guys, keep your doors open. You never want to like get honed in on just one company or one position. You want to have like a couple different positions in the work. Okay. So meaning like you might be applying for 2 or 3 or 4 different positions at one time, but then you also at the same time want to have like an ideal list of companies that you want to work for. Now that's not just going to be 1 or 2. I want you to get like 3, 4, 5 companies, maybe even 10 companies. Get your list kind of going of your ideal job titles, and companies you want to work for, and then apply for them all. Now, I do teach an approach to my academy students where I don't have you tailor all of your resume to every position, but I do have you tailor like some very specific spots so that you can quickly get it tailored, send it off, and then hopefully get an invite to an interview, okay? So that's a personal question. You have to decide, like, if the company has no vaccines, like, I mean, that's something you have to work through on a personal level. Oh my gosh, so many good questions. Okay, Charlene asked a really good question. When should you use a CV versus a traditional resume? I love this question. So Charlene, I'm actually going to be teaming up with a fellow YouTuber who her expertise is CVs. Okay. So and listen, I'm just talking on a US basis. A CV is like a way more detailed sheets of who you are, like publications you've done. Like I have a CV, okay, because I worked in academia. A resume is more for like the corporate world. That's kind of like a 1 to 2 page document of your work experience, your accomplishments, your education, professional skills. A CV goes into a lot more detail. Now, I will be doing a video. We're hoping to get the video out in the next month or so about just how to create a CV, because I've had so many questions about that. And let me say, an academic CV. So we're going to be putting out a video to teach you how to do that. But for now, if you're applying to the corporate world, you don't need, you want to do a traditional resume. Now, keep in mind, because I also do coaching, I do have coaching clients in like other places other than the United States. And in their country, they call a resume a CV. So keep that in mind wherever you are. In the US, a CV is a curriculum vitae. That's more for your academic professionals, okay? A resume is more for your corporate, I'm going to go out and get a job where I'm not teaching, or I'm not applying for tenure, or I'm not going into a PhD program. It's more like a corporate 1 to 2 page document, if that makes sense. Oh my gosh, so many questions. Okay, I'm going to pick a couple more. Okay, Stephen, I think I answered your question a little bit earlier. Dustin, I'm so happy you're here, Dustin. So Dustin says, if your education is related to your career change, but your work experience is something totally different, should I lead resume with my education or work experience? Oh, that's a good question, Dustin. So it depends on when you got your education, okay? And it depends on what you're doing right now. So keep in mind, when a hiring official looks at your resume, they're looking at what you're doing right now and like what's the most recent thing you've done. Now, if your education was from 20 years ago and you've been working in the field for quite a while, I would not lead with your education. Instead, what I would do is I would lead with your I would lead with your work experience, but I would find a way, again, remember, and if you guys need to go back to and listen to this workshop or this training again, I would find a way to revise your work experience again so that you are now focusing on some of those transferable skills. That's going to be much more valuable to you than leading with your education. Now, if the education was recent, if you just finished, like within the last year or 2 years, you could potentially lead with your education. But then, of course, have your summary ahead of that, then education, then work experience. But it totally depends on when you got that education. That's a really good question, Dustin. So glad you could join us today. Jesse says, can you do a workshop on federal resumes? Oh, this is another question I get a lot. Yes, that's in the works too. Jesse, we are working on that one. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to answer Shannon's question really quick because she got it in really quickly. When you upload resumes via LinkedIn and other sites, do they even see different colors that you might use to highlight different areas? Okay, so Shannon, really quickly, when you're uploading your resume, you most likely are uploading it in a PDF. You might even be uploading it in a Word. If you're just copying and pasting like from the document and putting it into like like an application system, they're not going to see any of that fancy formatting. If you upload it into a PDF, then they'll see some of that. Like if you're talking about color changes, like your font's blue or something like that, they'll see that in a PDF document. Awesome, you guys. Okay, such a fantastic live stream. Again, remember the Toolkit flash offer is happening right now until the end of the week. It's a 3-day flash offer, 3 days. The first 20 people to purchase the Toolkit will get a free cover letter workshop. And then we have our big, huge resume writing masterclass in just a couple weeks. If you have not yet saved your spot for that, make sure you look at the chat, get your spot saved for that so that you can join us. It's going to be such a party. It's going to be like 60, 90, I don't even know. Could even be 2 hours of just full-blown resume writing goodness. Okay, you guys, thanks for coming. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this training. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you get notifications and receive updates when we do these live trainings or when we host a live session or publish a new video on this channel every week. And I will see you guys next week.